Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into some serious international relations drama today.
Oh, yeah, this one is a real head scratcher.
We're talking about that time when South Africa and the U.S. were, well, not exactly seeing eye to eye.
Understatement of the century. They were practically at loggerheads, at least initially.
Exactly. South Africa came out strong, really pushing back against President Trump. But then things took a turn.
A mysterious turn, I might add. The source material leaves us hanging a bit on the why.
That's our mission today, trying to figure out what could have caused such a dramatic shift in South Africa's approach. So buckle up, folks. This is going to be a wild ride.
So let's set the stage. Remember when President Trump decided to cut off aid to South Africa?
Vaguely, it was all over the news,
Mhm.
but honestly, I'm a little hazy on the specifics. Refresh my memory.
Sure thing. So two major things were going on. One, South Africa had taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ.
Right, over the whole Palestinian territory situation.
Yeah. Yep. South Africa was arguing that Israel's occupation was, well, a big no-no according to international law. The second issue was a new land law in South Africa, a pretty controversial one.
Trying to even out the playing field after apartheid,
Yeah.
right? Redistributing land.
Exactly. Taking land from white owners and giving it to black South Africans who were, let's face it, robbed during apartheid. And these two moves, well, they didn't exactly sit well with the U.S.
It really put South Africa in the spotlight, didn't it? A smaller nation standing up to a superpower. Talk about brave.
You said it. And their initial response, bold, defiant. They basically said, we're sticking to our guns no matter what. It was a classic David and Goliath scenario.
And they held that line for a while too, at least publicly. But then radio silence,
Oh.
or at least softer tones. What happened? Did they backpedal?
That's the million-dollar question. And frustratingly, our sources are pretty tight-lipped about it. We just see this shift in tone and approach, so we've got to get our detective hats on.
So where do we even begin to unpack this? What factors could have been at play?
Well, first, let's look inwards. Within South Africa itself, I mean. Internal politics could have been a major factor.
Different factions pulling in different directions, maybe?
Exactly. Some pushing for the hard line, others urging caution, maybe even some behind-the-scenes power struggles.
Makes sense. International pressure is one thing, but internal divisions can really make things tricky.
For sure. And don't forget the economic side of things. Losing U.S. aid and trade, that's a big hit.
I was just thinking that. Wouldn't that be a huge blow to their economy? Did they just miscalculate?
It's possible maybe they overestimated their ability to withstand the pressure, or maybe the economic realities were just too harsh to ignore.
Yeah, you can be principled, but sometimes practicality has to win out. Okay, so we've got internal politics and economic concerns. What else?
Ah, the good old diplomatic dance. Don't underestimate the power of backroom deals and quiet negotiations.
Ooh, intriguing. So maybe there were compromises we just don't know about.
Absolutely. Maybe they found common ground on other issues, or maybe there were concessions made on both sides.
So much happening behind closed doors. It's like a whole other world.
Isn't it? And that's what makes international relations so fascinating and frustrating. It's like a giant chess game with hidden motivations and consequences that ripple out in unpredictable ways.
Well said. So where does this leave us? We see a conflict, South Africa's bold stand, and then things get murky.
And that murkiness is important. The biggest lesson here is that in international relations, there's rarely a simple answer.
No black and white, just shades of gray.
Precisely. It's all about understanding the nuances, the different players, and their motivations. It's about reading between the lines and questioning assumptions.
Which is exactly what we encourage you to do, dear listeners. This case is a perfect example of how things aren't always what they seem on the surface. So as you follow global affairs, keep those critical thinking skills sharp. There's always more to the story.
Always more to the story. And that, my friends, is the beauty and complexity of this field. Who knows what the next chapter will bring?
That's something to ponder indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.